Pause for a moment and breathe deeply. Before you continue scrolling, you need to hear this in complete silence, because it is not an accident that you have arrived here at this exact moment. The universe does not operate by chance. Even algorithms, as mechanical as they appear, often respond to energetic signals that your own intention has already sent forward. There are moments in life when the heart senses something long before the mind can understand or explain it with logic, and this is undoubtedly one of those defining moments. You are here because while you continue doubting, while endless questions repeat in your mind about whether this person is thinking of you, whether something unresolved still exists between you, or whether the connection is truly over, something essential has already shifted on a spiritual level. It was not a conversation you could hear. It was not a message that appeared on your phone. It was not even a visible sign in the physical world around you. It was a deep, internal, and irreversible decision made in a place you could not see, because it happened in silence on the other side. And you are hearing this now because your soul needs to understand what this unseen movement means for your own journey. It is very possible that for days, weeks, or even months, you have felt a strange pressure in your chest, a subtle anxiety you cannot fully explain. It feels as though something is forming, as though you are waiting for a message that never comes, carrying the sense that the story is unfinished, yet strangely paused. This physical sensation, the tightness in your throat or waking suddenly in the night, is not weakness and not imagination. There is a silence that weighs heavier than any shouted word. When the soul becomes restless like this, it is not emotional drama, but an inner knowing that something is about to reveal itself. Your energetic system has detected a change in the frequency of the bond. Like a radar sensing movement long before the eyes can see it, this person who has occupied so many of your thoughts is no longer lost in the confusion you imagined. They no longer doubt as they once did. They are no longer trapped in that lukewarm space where everything felt possible but nothing became real. There was a recent moment, perhaps a sleepless night, perhaps a quiet drive or a long stare into emptiness, when this person finally faced their own feelings and chose a direction. And this is what you must integrate today. This decision did not come from ego, fear, or the desire for comfort. It came from something deeper and older. When two souls are meant to meet and evolve together, they cannot run forever from their connection. They can resist, create distance, build walls of silence, and pretend indifference. But there is a saturation point where the energy no longer allows denial. That point has already been reached. You feel this stirred energy and nervous anticipation because your soul is deeply linked to theirs. Distance does not matter. Time without contact does not matter. What was said or left unsaid does not matter. Invisible bonds cannot be destroyed by harsh words or temporary decisions. When a choice is made from the core of being, the other side always feels it, even without logical proof. This is why their voice suddenly appears in your memory, why thoughts of them interrupt your routine, why you dream of them even when you try to quiet your mind. This is not obsession. It is connection. It is confirmation that the spiritual channel remains open. Many believe destined love is always gentle and simple. Reality is different. True love disrupts comfort, exposes shadows, forces growth, and brings hidden wounds to the surface. This person faced all of that during the silence. They looked into the mirror without masks and decided whether to keep running or finally accept what they feel for you. You may believe nothing has changed, but the decision already exists and vibrates beyond the physical. The external world simply needs time to align. This message is not false hope, it is clarity. Some silences are preparation, some pauses are necessary. Pay attention to your body now. The body recognizes truth before the mind does. You are not waiting for indecision. You are inside a sacred alignment where energies are arranging themselves, so what has been decided can arrive in the right form and moment. There are decisions that are not announced with trumpets. They do not come with long messages or eternal promises on social networks. They are simply known in the weight of daily existence. This person began to feel the unbearable weight of not being coherent with themselves. They began to realize that the emptiness they felt did not come from physical distance, but from inner denial. The denial of what they felt for you cost them too much on the energetic level. It robbed them of peace. There came a point when continuing to live in this self-imposed lie was no longer bearable. The energy required to suppress a true love is immense, and this person no longer had reserves to continue pretending. Maybe in your darkest nights, you often wondered whether you had done something wrong, whether you said too much, whether you were too vulnerable, whether your demonstrations fell short, or whether you loved too much and scared the other person away. But I want you to hear this with absolute clarity and free yourself from that guilt. It was not your intensity that made things complicated. It was not your love that provoked the escape. It was the other person's temporary inability to hold the magnitude of what they felt at that moment. There are souls that need time to learn to receive what they have always asked from the universe. Sometimes when the gift arrives, the fear of not deserving it or the fear of losing it causes the first reaction to be protection and closing the doors. This person had to cross very deep and deeply rooted fears. Fear of losing control over their perfectly organized life, fear of truly surrendering and becoming vulnerable, fear of repeating painful stories from the past that they did not want to relive again, fear of not being able to meet what this connection required in terms of honesty and transparency. And in the midst of this entire emotional whirlwind, they took distance, not because they felt nothing, but paradoxically because they felt too much. The excess of feeling can be frightening for someone who is not used to navigating emotional depths. But time passed, and time has a wonderful quality. It puts everything into perspective. As the days and nights went by, clarity came. When outer noise fades and distractions lose their shine, the inner voice becomes impossible to ignore. And there, in that fertile silence, they understood that distancing themselves further did not give them the peace they sought, that continuing to postpone the encounter or the truth only accumulated guilt and a corrosive nostalgia. They understood that what happened with you was not a lucky coincidence nor a temporary emotional confusion, but a destined encounter that marked a before and after in their biography. The decision made recently is not superficial. It is not just about I will send him a message or I will invite this person on a date. It is an existential decision about how they will live from now on. It is a decision to no longer betray their inner self, to accept that there are connections that do not come into our lives to be comfortable and fit into our pre-made plans, but to be transformative and break our patterns. And you were and are the main catalyst of this change in their life. That is why it is possible that you have recently felt a kind of unusual emotional tiredness, as if you no longer wanted to fight, as if you had lowered your guard, as if something in you had finally released the obsessive need to control the outcome. This tiredness is not surrender nor depression, nor does it mean that you have given up. It is spiritual maturity. It is your soul saying, I have done what I needed to do. I have sent the signal. Now I trust the larger movement. And when one reaches this point of letting go of control, things strangely begin to flow differently. Resistance disappears and allows energy to circulate. Do not think that this person's inner decision means that tomorrow everything will be immediate or perfect. The path of destined love is rarely a straight line. Sometimes there are slow steps, necessary adjustments, silences that still need to be lived through to complete the healing. But the fundamental difference is enormous when there is no longer any doubt. Because once the heart truly decides, the polarity of energy changes. This energy begins to push toward the truth like a river seeking the sea. Even if the rational mind still tries to build dams and resist, even if this person is still organizing their practical life, facing the consequences of past escapes, closing cycles with other people or situations that they previously could not close due to lack of courage. It may be that they are still gathering the necessary courage to act according to what they have decided internally, but they are no longer in the same emotional place as before. They are no longer divided in two. They are no longer fleeing aimlessly. Now they know what they feel. They have accepted it, and that changes everything. Destined love does not always come wrapped in immediate security and signed guarantees. Sometimes it comes after the perfect storm, after hard lessons, after understanding through pain what one does not want in order to recognize with gratitude what one does want. And in this process of apparent separation, both grow even apart, even in silence, even without knowing anything about each other. Evolution continues. You have also changed during this time. You are no longer the same person you were at the beginning of this story. When you look back, you will see that you have learned to listen to your intuition with more clarity. You have learned to set healthy boundaries. You have learned that you do not have to beg for love or attention because you are valuable by your very nature. You have learned to stand on your feet when you felt like falling. And all of this was strictly necessary so that when the energies meet again, they meet from a healthier, more conscious, truer place. Nothing you experienced was in vain. Every tear shed, every night of questions without answers, every attempt to let go, every emotional relapse, everything was part of a greater process of inner alchemy. And now this process is entering a new phase, one in which this person's inner decision begins to resonate and vibrate in harmony with your own growth. That is why your spiritual eyes must learn to see movement, even when your physical eyes see silence. You must understand that reality slowly cooks in the unseen before it is served on the table of the visible. However, to reach this absolute clarity, this person had to face a silent enemy that lived within them. Something that depth psychology knows very well, and that explains why they fled in the first place. Something that had nothing to do with you, but with their own shadow. To deeply understand why the separation happened and what has now changed in this person's mind, it is essential to explore a concept often overlooked in conventional relationships, but which is the main key in soul connections. It is very likely that during the time of silence, you tormented yourself thinking that your presence was not enough, that perhaps you were not what this person was looking for, or that the interest simply disappeared. The spiritual truth, however, is completely opposite. This person did not move away from you because something was lacking on your side. They moved away because by your side they could no longer hide from themselves. Here enters what depth psychology and great thinkers of the human mind, such as Carl Jung, identified as the shadow. This concept does not necessarily refer to something evil or negative, but to all those parts of ourselves that we have rejected, hidden or suppressed in order to fit into the world. They are the fears, the insecurities, but also the unrecognized talents and the vulnerability we were taught to hide. Imagine that every person walks through life carrying an invisible bag where they store everything they do not want others to see. Before meeting you, this person had built their life on a structure that allowed them to keep that bag tightly closed. They had created a functional identity, a social mask that served them to navigate daily life without confronting their deepest wounds. But then you came, and your arrival was not simply the arrival of another romantic interest. It was the arrival of an immense and penetrating light. When two people connect on such a deep spiritual level, the mirror effect inevitably emerges. You became a flawless mirror in which this person saw themselves reflected with frightening clarity. When they looked at you, they did not only see your beauty or your goodness. They also saw, by contrast, everything unresolved in their own life. Your ability to love without reservations illuminated their fear of surrendering. Your radical honesty illuminated their well-crafted lies. Your courage to feel illuminated their emotional cowardice. It is important that you understand this in order to stop blaming yourself. Light, when it is very intense and sudden, can blind someone who has spent a long time in darkness. The instinctive reaction of someone blinded by strong light is not to thank the clarity, but to close their eyes and retreat into familiar shadows. This is exactly what happened. The escape was not a rejection of you. It was a defense mechanism against exposure. This person felt that their usual defenses no longer worked by your side. They felt emotionally exposed, fragile, and out of balance. And for someone who built their entire life around control and the image of strength, that level of vulnerability felt like a direct threat to the ego, almost like emotional annihilation. That is why the distance appeared so suddenly and felt impossible to logically explain. They could never say, "I am leaving because you make me feel too deeply, and it frightens me." Instead, they hid behind excuses, silence, or unclear explanations that left you disoriented and searching for answers. Carl Jung explained that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by bringing darkness into awareness. And that is exactly the painful yet necessary process you triggered in this person's life. You became the catalyst for their awakening. A catalyst is something that speeds up a reaction without being destroyed itself. Without you, this person might have stayed asleep within their emotional habits for years, perhaps even decades. Your presence accelerated everything. By leaving or by being pushed into distance, you removed their ability to project their discomfort onto you. While you were there, they could blame the relationship for their inner chaos. Once you were gone, and the discomfort stayed, they were forced to admit the conflict was not external, but internal. The silence between you turned into an echo chamber where escaping their own inner voice was no longer possible. In this way, the pain of separation gained a deeper meaning. True love, especially at the stage of recognition, is rarely comfortable. It arrives to dismantle outdated ego structures and create space for something more real. This person had to face their shadow alone. They confronted fears of abandonment, feelings of inadequacy, and long-standing patterns of self-sabotage. This kind of confrontation is exhausting, which is why they may have seemed cold, irritated, or distant during separation. That anger was never truly directed at you. It was the frustration of tearing down a false identity that had protected them for years. It was the pain of growth. Just as muscles ache when stretched beyond what they know, the soul aches when it expands toward a higher level of awareness. What you interpreted as indifference was, in truth, massive inner labor. They were struggling to integrate the parts of themselves that you awakened, because once truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. After experiencing connection with you, returning to the shallowness of past relationships became impossible. What once satisfied them now felt empty. Ordinary conversations lost flavor. Relationships built on convenience felt repulsive. The seed you planted took deep root and cracked the concrete of resistance. This process of individuation, of becoming who one truly is, was the greatest gift you unknowingly gave. You pushed them, without intention or awareness, toward their own wholeness. We often believe that if someone loves us, they should stay no matter what. But sometimes, in the evolution of a bond, physical separation is the only way to ensure future spiritual union. Had you remained together during that phase of emotional immaturity, the connection would have turned toxic. Fear would have consumed it. Distance became a protective container, a space where each of you could confront personal demons without destroying the bond. You had to release attachment and rediscover your worth. They had to release fear and uncover their truth. Now, the dynamic has shifted because the shadow has been acknowledged. It is no longer a hidden force controlling life from darkness. By making the unconscious conscious, they reclaimed authority over their choices. The energy once spent suppressing feelings for you, the immense force wasted on walls and emotional armor, has been released. Energy never disappears, it only changes form. What once fueled avoidance has now redirected toward acceptance. Resistance collapsed because there was nothing left to defend. They understood your light was never meant to destroy them, but to heal them. This realization transformed fear. Fear no longer freezes them. It signals importance. They stopped viewing your love as a threat to freedom and began seeing it as the path to true liberation. They realized the real prison was the ego and its self-imposed limits, and that the connection with you was the key. This marked a complete reversal in perception. Where danger once existed, safety now appears. Where escape felt necessary, a magnetic pull toward home now exists. And home, in the language of the soul, is the unique frequency only you emit. You must understand you did nothing wrong by being intense or emotionally open. That intensity was essential. Without that shock, they would have remained asleep. You were the storm that cleared the atmosphere. Now that the internal storm has passed and the sky of their mind is clearing, certainty remains. The decision arises from integration. It is no longer the wounded child choosing, but the conscious adult, someone who has seen their shadow, accepted it, and chosen love over fear. This inner shift is invisible to ordinary eyes, but deafening on an energetic level. When resistance to destiny ends, energy releases like a shockwave, and you, connected through invisible threads of empathy and shared memory, receive it first. That is why your fear has changed. That is why you sense a presence even without messages. The barrier has broken. Like water rushing once a dam collapses, their acknowledged feelings now seek a path toward you. To receive this flow without being overwhelmed, you must notice how this new reality is already showing up in your body and daily life. Energetic changes never go unnoticed by those who are attuned. When a soul-level decision is made, spiritual silence breaks. The phone may stay quiet, social media unchanged, but the invisible channel between you is alive. What you have felt recently is not imagination. It is proof the wall has fallen. Emotional telepathy intensifies. Sudden sadness, anxiety, or unexpected joy appear without cause. These feelings are not yours. They are empathic resonance. Their regret, longing, and hope travel the thread between you and register in your field. Sleep is especially affected. Waking between 3 and 4 a.m. is not random. In many traditions, this is when veils are thinnest. If you wake with their presence felt instantly, it is because their consciousness is reaching out. Dreams become vivid, real, and interactive. These are not mental leftovers, but soul meetings. If this resonates, anchor it. Write, "I deserve" as a declaration of worth, not need. It seals readiness. Synchronicities then increase. Names, numbers, songs align. Reality reorganizes to support an inner decision. Your role is to remain centered. What is decided in depth always finds expression in time.